cell phone, headlamp, or simple torch. What should I carry with me on Camino? That depends on what you need it for. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you a selection of our finest light-emitting devices. Okay, just kidding. Let's face it, most of you aren't going to be out on the water, so you don't need something that floats, nor do you need a torch that's capable of punching a beam 100 meters or more. So I think we can safely put this to the side. This is an excellent torch, but it's a little bit on the heavy side. It would be useful. I mean, if you've already got one, sure, why not? But it does have its limitations, so I think perhaps I'll leave that. This has a useful beam, but again, it's still on the heavier side, so I think we'll put this to one side as well. What does that leave me with? It leaves me with my phone, my head torch, and my mini flashlight. Which of these three options do I recommend? I've done some testing for you, so let's watch those videos, and at the end, you'll see my conclusions. Okay, so it's the middle of the night. I need to get up and go to the toilet. I can't see a thing. Right, let's give it a go. I'm going to get out the dreaded phone. And as you can see, that is glaringly bright. This is with the blue torch that I put to one side. Even though the batteries are actually dying, it is still too bright. This is the little red torch. The one that I said was too heavy. It's significantly better than the other options, but it's still a bit on the bright side. Now, if I was carrying my head torch, this is the red light function. Not quite as good as my little mini light, but significantly better than any of the other torches. Although do make sure it's on red light and on the lowest setting, because these torches, you can actually increase the brightness, which, as you'll note, is a little bit much. And of course, if I switch it to white light, yeah, I think the entire room's going to wake up. Okay, now for the little mini torch. Right, now I think you'll agree that that's significantly better than any of the other options to date. This, for me, is the ideal torch for the Albergue. That's why this torch comes with me on Camino. You'll note if you look at my packing list video, for example, this little sucker features in it. Alright, so as you saw, the phone and the Albergue, that's not going to work terribly well. It's seriously bright. For an emergency, well, an emergency is an emergency, right? But I would much prefer not to use it. Head torch, so long as it's on red light setting, is going to work pretty well. And my little mini torch works every bit as well, if actually not a little bit better. Alright, let's go outside and see how these three options perform on the trail. Alright everybody, I'm outside. It's not completely dark, but I don't want to stay up till midnight for you guys, so sorry. This is the mini torch. I'm going to start in reverse. So this is my little mini torch. It's on full bright. It's as good as that's going to get. This is the red torch, the one that I said was a little bit on the heavy side. Pretty good for walking up and down the trail. If you really only want it for that, you're not worried about the Albergue, that'd do just fine. Now, I did mention the batteries on the blue one were going. I probably shouldn't have brought it out, but I just wanted to show you the difference. It casts a very wide beam. It's probably a little bit more useful for actually walking, just a nice wide beam, but in terms of finding an arrow as you're walking along the trail, getting a little problematic. And it's significantly heavier. This is my phone torch. It's got a nice wide beam, but it's not really reaching very far ahead. It would do in an emergency or just for a very occasional use. This is on the red light setting of my headlamp. I can see, but I'm sure I aren't going to see any signs. This is the second setting of my headlamp, the white light setting. It's about as dim as it goes on that setting. Again, it's useful for finding something on the ground or just sort of walking the trail in general. If you knew the way, this is a great option because it saves your battery. Now this, on the other hand, is my full-on headlamp. I think you'll agree. I can actually see all the way to the end of the path, which is a good 50 meters away. In actual fact, I think this has got a range of about 100 meters. But in terms of looking around side to side, finding those arrows as I'm going, This is the option that I'd want if I was planning on walking first thing in the morning before dawn. In conclusion, cell phone. Pros therefore, you're already carrying it with you. Secondly, it's got a bright diffuse beam. So if you're looking for something in an emergency situation, it's pretty much ideal. The cons, well, let's face it, if you're going to be using it for an extended period, it's going to drain your battery pretty quickly. And if you then need it for something else, making a call, for example, you might be out of luck. Secondly, it does have a bright diffuse beam, which is less than ideal in an albergue situation. You are going to disturb your neighbours. That's not very kind of you. Head torch. On the pro side of things, if you buy a half decent one, it'll have multiple different light level functions, ideal for finding your way. You can put it on a low level red light function for getting up in the middle of the night in the albergue. You're much less likely to disturb your neighbours. Many of these have a blinking red light function as well. Great in an emergency situation or simply walking along the shoulder of the road, especially during inclement weather, first thing in the morning. On the negative side of things, it is more weight to carry. It's yet another item that you can lose as well, so do take care. The mini flashlight. This is absolutely ideal for somebody who simply needs a torch to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or to find that errant earplug that's rolled underneath the bed. Other than that, well, it's simply not going to do anything. It is very light, but you can get lighter options still. Those little mini keychain lights, they'll do just as well for the purposes that you're needing. You can have a play around with it at home, of course. Obviously, only you can decide what the best option for you is, but I hope this review has been helpful for you to make an informed choice. Take care, everybody. Buen Camino.